Man, we can't think of a cold open. Where's Carter's dumbass when you need him?
He's always fucking up. Welcome to the Rendezvous podcast. You got Davis Alden, Zach Gale, and Avery Ellis as a special guest this week. Talk about some experience fighting forest fires and got a couple good stories for us.
Yeah. Thanks for being on, Avery.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Our listeners don't know this, but we actually recorded with Avery a little over a year ago, but certain someone who will remain nameless ruined that recording. So we just decided we'd scrap it and have Avery on another time. So Avery, welcome back to the Rendezvous, even though you are, this is your actual debut.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's still there's big fires. California's still on fire. Gender reveals gone wrong, and I think there was some arson too. They found out there's a couple of fires that were arson. Are there still fires in Wyoming? I thought I saw the governor tweet something yesterday.
So
it's super smoky here today.
So where I've been elk hunting, actually up on the Snowies, a fire started Thursday afternoon, like right where I have been going.
Okay.
It's like the Savage Run Wilderness area, something like that.
Interesting.
And it does not look good.
Yeah. I think it was those Minnesota pricks from last week.
Could have been bastards.
Well, that's a good segue into Avery telling us a little bit about his time fighting fires. Avery, you did that for 2 or 3 years straight, right?
I did it for 2.
2 years, okay.
It's not very fun. I'm gonna go with nothing now.
It's not what it's cracked up to be.
No, it is not like, I don't know, there aren't a whole lot of movies about it, but it's not like the movies. It's not fun at all.
The only movie I can think of is
Only the Brave.
Only the Brave.
I saw that when it came out, and I was like, oh, that looks fun. I'm going to apply for that. I got it, and I had my first season, and I liked it pretty good then. And after my second season, I was about done with it.
Yeah. Where were you at? Because you were the last year you said you were in the Bighorns, but what about your first year?
So my duty station was in the Bighorn Mountains at Burgess Junction, above Sheridan. But my first season, I didn't spend a lot of time there. I think I maybe spent 2 weeks out of the whole summer living there, because the rest of the time I was mostly down in Colorado fighting fires, and a little bit in Wyoming over by Rock Springs. And my second season, it was a pretty wet year, so there weren't really many fires. There was only one I got on that was a local fire in the Bighorns. It was over by Lick Creek, if you know where that's at.
Okay, nice. Last summer was nice. I mean, we kind of had moisture and stuff kind of late into the year, which was nice for us. We went camping a couple times, and you're able to have your open fires, so that's always good. Huge contrast to this year, where it was super dry most of the year. So
yeah, and there's a lot of fires burning.
Yeah, for sure. So cool. So you were stationed in the Bighorns. I was going to say the Rockies, but that's obviously a large area. The Bighorns and the Rockies. Yeah. So I don't know. What was it like? I mean, elaborate. Why did it suck? Why was it not
the
good?
first season I enjoyed, firstly because of the paychecks, because when you're 19, 20 years old making $19,000 in 3 months, that's pretty cool. But also my first season, I was always on the go. I did all my classes and trainings in the first, I think, 3 weeks. Then they gave me my red card. Then I hung out for maybe 2 days, and then I was on an assignment down in Colorado for severity, and I ended up staying there for 21 days. And I worked, it's 21 days straight. I think the shortest shift I had was 12 hours. And that was all right. Then I came back, had 2 days off, then a couple more days up at the station. And then I got another assignment. I got on a detail with a hand crew, which is where we went down to, I think it was Meeker, Colorado. And we were there for about a week, and then we got transferred to the Black Butte fire that was on some private mine land over by Rock Springs. And then from there, transferred to another fire that was nearby. And I think that one was maybe, while I was gone, was maybe 18 days or something like that. And then I came back, and I think I had like 1 more week of work left. And then I went back to school. So I was always busy that first summer, which made it more interesting and more fun. And then second summer, that was so wet that there weren't any fires, so we didn't really have anything to do. Wake up every morning at 6, go for a run, take an hour off to eat breakfast and shower and everything, then go to work. And a lot of that is just doing chores around the station. Like, you got to mow and paint tools and clean. And we got towards the end of the summer, they gave us a timber clearing project where behind some guy's cabin, and there was only I think 3 of us doing it, where they just gave us a chainsaw, and we got approved for, I think, 16 hours of overtime or something like that, where we started working 12s every day. So we do 12-hour shifts, and we just go run chainsaws for 10 hours or so, and that was real tiring, which wasn't great. And then towards the end of the summer, we got a fire that it was just a little 4-acre fire in some really nasty timber, and it lasted. I was on it for maybe 3 days before we called it out, and then we just have to drive out to it, and then take another hike out to it every day to keep checking on it, which was nice because they give us hazard pay to go on to the fire line. But the rest of the time is just living in the mountains with no cell phone service, no internet, and I was dating a girl at the time, which made it really hard to maintain the relationship, and then also not seeing any of my friends and my family, and just having to work with these guys. They're not horrible guys, but by the end of the time, I wasn't getting along with them very well. Mm-hmm. That's why I quit. I didn't like the people who work fire. A lot of them, they've got some big egos on them. They're hard to get along with.
Sure. You mentioned a little bit like the training you had to go through. What did that look like? And then how do you kind of keep up with that? I know a big part of go ahead.
So before they give you your red card, which is your identification as like a firefighter that you've been certified to be a firefighter type 2. They make you take a couple classes. One is S190, I think. It's Introduction to Weather Patterns. I took S212, which was a chainsaw certification class. There was another one. A lot of them are just bullshit classes. Like, the only helpful ones I found were the weather class and the chainsaws. And then, there was, I can't remember the course number, but it was FFT2 duties, I think it was called, where they just go through all the tools and your job. And then there's like a communication class where they teach you how to use the radios. And then there's some kind of incident response system. I can't remember what the acronym for it is, but it's pretty much just goes over like FEMA's plan for like natural disasters like fires or floods and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Physical training, they have you do the pack test, which just need to be able to hike 3 miles with a 45-pound pack in under 45 minutes, which it isn't really that difficult. I think my second time I did it, I hadn't trained for it at all or anything, and I still had like a full 10 minutes to spare at the end.
Okay. Yeah, because my next question was going to be, what are the kind of physical requirements you have to go through? I know you guys are training and working out too when you're not out fighting fire. So what does that look like?
So, like I said, we get up at 6 every morning and go for a run or a hike. So we just PT every day, the first hour of work, and then take an hour off to eat. So that'd either be like a run. I worked on an engine, so PT wasn't a massive thing because you're not out on a hand crew or a shot crew or anything like that. So the physical labor is a little less demanding. So I think we'd run anywhere from like 3 to 6 miles. And then if we had time at the end, we do, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, just basic stuff.
Sure. Okay. Davis, you have any questions for Avery?
I was just going to have him tell a couple stories like the ones you told last year, if you can remember them.
All right. So the one I remember I told last time was first time I went to Colorado. It was right after I got my red card and my SAW cert. So we went and we were on a severity assignment, which just means it's super dry conditions. There's a lot of potential for a fire. So they'll just have you patrol around. And I think it was 10 days into that assignment that we got a fire. But before that, we were just patrolling and sitting in a truck 12 hours a day driving around. It gets boring. So you look for stuff to do. So the FMO there gave us a timber clearing project, and that's the fire management officer, over this road that was cut into the side of a really steep hill, and that was lined by aspens on both sides. And over the winter, a lot of snow would land on those, and they'd end up tilted over the road and almost just horizontal across the road. So they had us go through with chainsaws and cut those out. And so I got the bottom side of the road, and then the engine captain was just walking on the road watching us, and then the other FFT2 we were with was above the road, and he'd cut them down the hill into the road, and I'd cut them up the hill into the road. And so I was into it for a couple hours. So I'm a smaller person, so I was getting tired because they have you wearing long pants, long sleeves, both heavy Nomex with gloves and a hard hat, and they're having you carry your packs. You got med kit and stuff in there. Then they've got chainsaw chaps on you, and you're carrying around a chainsaw. And so it can get heavy depending on what you have in your pack, but after a while, you'll tire out pretty quick, and it's around 100 degrees while you're doing this. So I'm tired, and I'm looking up the hill, and I'm like, hey, I'm not going to use his name. Like, I'm dropping the tree straight at you, and he looks at me, and he gives me the thumbs up, like, gives me the go-ahead. So, like, I'm cutting the tree, and I'm looking at him, like, that's going straight for him. Hope he's far enough up the hill. And so, like, I finish cutting it, it starts falling, and I get the call that it's falling, and he looks up, and I'm like, okay. And then about the top, like, 2 feet of the tree hit him just straight in the chest and just smack him straight down. And I was like, oh, shit, I just killed him. Fuck. Which is funny because, like, the first thing they have you do in SAW class is make sure your area is clear, and you're supposed to do that all the time, but no one ever follows that. And, like, the engine captain was watching us the whole time. And, like, pretty soon the guy gets up, and I'm like, holy shit, that was close. And, like, he walks up to me and he's like, what'd you do wrong? And I was like, bitch, I didn't do anything wrong. That was just I told him it was coming, and he said it was good, so I went for it. But he's like, yeah, I saw it was going to happen, but I thought I'd just let it play out. And I was like, what?
Wow.
So that was the time I almost killed someone.
And yeah, that's intense. Man. Well, so did you have to do like any kind of first aid on him, or did you just get up and just kind of have to catch his breath a little bit?
He just got knocked down.
Damn. I can't even imagine being hit by a tree.
Oh, yeah.
Falling. That would freaking hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I'd have shit myself if I was that guy. Like, oh, yeah, good.
Like, he saw it coming. Like, I wonder if he was just like, I'm just going to take this, or like, he was just like, this is the perfect spot.
Yeah. It's like, it's my time. Oh, man. That's crazy. So that was this last summer, right? Or sorry, your second season?
Yeah, that was my first season, so 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. And so you said you were on an engine when you're, fighting fires. So what does that kind of look like? How's that different from, like a hand crew or something like that?
So a hand crew goes out and it's 18 to 22 guys. There's a first section, usually about 5 guys, and they have 5 swampers for them. The first 5 guys have chainsaws, and they go through and they cut out any of the big stuff, trees, bushes, and stuff, and then their swamper will go ahead and pull that off the line. And then the remaining 10 to 12 guys that are there will go through with hand tools, so they'll have Pulaskis and just different variations of like hose. And they'll go through and dig the line behind them. Usually what an engine does is they'll get somewhere that they can park the engine. Then they'll go ahead and they'll run hose down the line with Ys so that the line keeps going with one side, and then the side towards the fire they'll hook up lateral hoses too with nozzles, and usually the engine crew will go along there and just spray the edges down, get anything that's still smoldering. And then there'll usually be the captain or the assistant captain will be up at the engine just keeping track of the pump and make sure it's working all right and we're not running out of water.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess were you using more of those I guess you would have been using it more than your first year in Colorado and southern Wyoming.
Yeah. Because my first assignment when I was on that 21 day one was on an engine, and then second assignment was on a hand crew.
Which did you like better?
Think I liked the engine better just because I like the guys I was with a lot more. The hand crew with, you'll have 4 or 5 trucks, 5 deep on all of them. So you're driving around with the same people a lot, and there's a lot of personalities that can come out.
Yeah. Which one was more exciting?
The engine one was more exciting because I think all the fires we got stuck on the hand crew were pretty much out already. Pretty much just dug a lot of the line next to stuff that was already done burning.
Huh?
So you were more kind of like cleanup then on the engine, just putting out kind of what had passed, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
So if someone spots a fire, how quickly can you guys be ready to go start working it?
If like I was at the station, someone came in and said they saw smoke, we're ready to go right away. We can just hop in the engine and the chase truck, and then we'll be out looking for it for a while, but we can leave right away.
Huh.
And that's typically how all crews work. They'll keep the trucks loaded with everything they need, so if anything happens, they can just hop in and go.
And you guys don't do anything during night, do you? Or
you can. I know helicopter crews aren't allowed to fly at night, but everyone else you can get stuck on night shifts.
Okay.
Nice. Cool. I don't have any other questions. Do you, Davis?
Yeah, I'll think of some. So, like last year when you weren't doing much, what did a typical day look like other than doing all your chores and stuff? Like, would you just work an 8-hour day, or
Yeah, usually.
and then just sit at camp the rest of the time, or?
Yeah, because we're on the mountain, so and 5 days a week we're required to live there, so we're basically on call all the time. Even days off, you're on call, unless you specifically ask to be not to be on call. Usually just get up and we do our run or our hike, and then shower and eat breakfast, and we'd have a morning briefing, which always included like a safety briefing on some random topic, and then figure out what we're doing for the day, plan out what we're doing tomorrow. Then we go ahead and do anything we had, and then run out of stuff to do. Just sit around and bullshit, maybe find something to clean the cabins, clean the garage. Then your day's done, you go home, which is like 30 feet from the office. You hope you have a good DVD you haven't watched yet. You just go to bed.
Sounds kind of like a day working at the rec district, Davis, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, when Chuck wasn't going crazy yelling at us, yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you, like this summer with so many fires going on, do you miss it a little bit, or?
No, not at all. I'm glad I get, the most I ever have to work is a 40-hour week instead of a minimum 14 days straight, 16-hour shifts.
Yeah.
A lot of the time you'll wake up at 4:30 or 5 and go to your briefing in the morning, then you'll drive an hour to wherever your fire is, then you'll go ahead and work on that for about 12 hours, and you'll get back in the truck, drive back, eat some food, and just go straight to bed.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
Days. Middle of the day, they start going by faster, but sure. they do get slow.
I'm sure your parents were glad that you weren't doing that either.
I'm sure they were. I don't know. I think they liked that I was making lots of money, so they could quit giving me money, though.
Yeah, that's true. The fact that you weren't home every day. Yeah.
Do you have any other good stories?
All right, I got one more. This is from that last fire I worked my second season, so I don't think I've told you guys this one before, but so we had this fire not too far from our duty station, so I wasn't there when it happened. I had the weekend off. I specifically asked, like, hey, I want some days off. Don't call me. So they got a fire and didn't like me because I was like, no, I'm not working it. But as soon as I come back, I drive up from my parents' house. I have to leave at like 4 a.m. to get there by 7 to leave. So I get there, drive out to the fire, and we got one hand crew from the BIA over in, I think it was Warland or somewhere over there. And we have the hell attack crew from Glenrock, which I spent about a week with them on a detail before I had to leave for some personal reasons. And there was this one girl on it that I didn't like, who she claimed she was an engine captain from the Black Hills before she joined the hell attack. And when we were taking the HECM test, the helicopter crew member test, she was taking it too because it was her first year on a helicopter. And at the end of the test, it's pretty much like a guaranteed pass with these classes because most of them, before you turn them in, you'll go around the room and go over all the answers first so you can change your answers and stuff. And she was all the way at the end of like the cycle we went through during this test. And we got to where it was only like a 30 question test, and you had a full, I think, hour and a half to take it. And we got to her first thing. She said, I didn't get to that question first. I was like, really? It's like the 20th question. Yeah, now. And then, so she looked at it for a minute. She's like, I don't know. And it was just a simple question. Like, it was open book. You could have used everything. So I was like, okay, so this girl's an idiot. I don't believe she ever did before. And so I went and I spent about a week with her on the heli-tac. During that time, she didn't say anything bitchy to me, but during the class, I think, we all went out one night to a bar in Glen Rock. I don't remember what she said, but I remember we were getting pizza at this one place, and she said something that really pissed me off. But anyway, so like just establishing like we don't like each other. And she ended up on this fire. And it was small enough we didn't need the helicopter, so all the heli-tac guys were just helping everyone spray it out and dig line. And towards the end of the shift, there was, I think, maybe half an hour left before we left. And my assistant captain was the IC on the fire, which is the incident commander, so he's just the boss of everyone. And there's this one section on this really steep hill of these burned out trees. It was only maybe 50 yards from the top of the hill to where the burn had stopped. And it was really it was a sketchy place. It was really steep. All the trees were burned out, and we were watching trees fall all day. It was just this really, it was all these trees were in there like a haystack, just interlocked, and they were all burned and just ready to fall. So my engine captain, or the assistant captain, or the IC on the fire said, hey, just go ahead and line the top of this. I don't want anyone walking down there. It's a really hazardous spot. So I was like, okay. So it was me and her and this one other kid that was from another engine over on the other side of the mountain that were digging line, and we had one chainsaw with us. And so the saw went ahead and he cut anything out of the line, and we were coming behind digging it. And we got around, went all the way around the top half, and stopped me and this other kid and started walking back to everyone else that was just hanging out. And she kept going and was like yelling at us like, hey, keep going. We got to keep going on this line. We're only halfway around. We were like, he told us not to. But the other kid was just like, fine, whatever. So he kept digging line with her. I was like, no, fuck you, bitch. I'm not doing that. I was told not to. I'm not dying for your fucking pride. So like I just went back and was hanging out with everyone else, and I hear her after 10 minutes start screaming at me. And she said, Avery, get your lazy fucking ass down here and dig this fucking line. And I like looked at like her boss and my like two bosses that were there, and they're just looking at me like, she seemed angry. So I was like, okay. So like I went and like did this little, she's like, you're gonna mop up this whole corner by yourself, and like it's like 10 feet, but okay. So I did it, and then she started giving me this lecture like, hey, this is our job, we're there's a lot of good stuff here to save. And I was like, this is not our job, we were explicitly told not to go down here. And she's like, well, it doesn't matter, there's still a lot of good timber here. I was like, bitch, this is 100 miles that this fire has to burn downhill through this jackstraw bullshit. It was just dead trees before it gets to flat ground, then another 200 miles before it gets to a town. Like, there's nothing good here. And she had no response. And she was just pissing with me. And so, like, they left. And I think later that week I was talking to my boss, and I was like, was I right there? And he was like, yeah, but she seemed really mad. I was like, you told us not to come down. I was like, yep, I did. So that's that story about a bitchy woman.
Angry coworker overrides orders from your boss.
Like, I went and like talked to her boss. I was like, am I in trouble? He's like, no, like she's in trouble.
Oh man,
That's great.
yeah, that's awesome. It's just like they just left you out in the wind, just left you out to hang there, and and then just
That's like a perfect example. Like the big egos, like why I don't do it anymore. It's just people like that have some fucking hero complex over saving trees.
Goddamn tree huggers.
Oh shit. Well, good. Those are good stories. You
Yeah.
about killed somebody twice. One you were contemplating, I guess, and then the other one. Neither of them were your fault though, so that's good. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Avery. Oh wait, you had something else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that made me most angry about this girl is, so I wasn't there the first day the fire happened, and everyone was staying at our duty station, and they gave her my fucking bed.
Well, that's a huge part of the story you left out, man.
I was like, can I have my fucking bed back? And they're like, fine.
Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah. Oh man. So they gave it back. Would she just sleep on a car or something?
No, they gave her because of the guy that I lived in the same room with. He was on an assignment in Alaska at the time. So his bed was empty. They're like, oh, we're not going to make her sleep in a room with another guy. Like, that's not cool. So they like kicked my crew leader out of his room and put him in with me and gave her the room to herself.
Nice.
I wasn't okay with, like, she brought a sleeping bag or some shit, but no, like, she got under my blankets and used my pillow.
Got it all dirty.
Yeah, it was fucking dirty. She had a shower.
Some female privilege right there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that's good. I'm happy you're, didn't suffer any, burns or whatever.
I did once. I fell in a hole and I burned my leg. That's the whole story. I just stepped on some bad roots and fell in a hole.
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, okay. Didn't get burned too badly. So, well, we'll have to have you on again. We're sorry it took us a year to get you back on. And I'm still salty about that recording getting messed up because it was a good one. So
that was a really good recording too. That went for
it was a long
50 minutes. It was a long one.
Yeah, and it was like the Rendezvous in its prime. I mean, if the Rendezvous had a prime, it was at that moment.
It really probably was like our fifth or sixth recording.
Yeah, it was really because we were all still back in Sheridan. So, but yeah, well, we'll have to have you back on again. And hey, do you have his T-shirt?
What about it?
Do you have a T-shirt for him? His
I don't.
Did you ever get it?
Carter has all the T-shirts. I'll give him a koozie though.
All right, there you go. You get a koozie.
The first time, Carter kept asking me, or after I came, it was like a year later. He was like, "You ever gonna come get a shirt from me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally will," because my girlfriend was like his neighbor, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll come get it at some point." And then I just never did.
That's all right. We were harping on Carter to come and give it to you, anyway. So, like we said at the beginning, he always fucks stuff up. So
yeah. Now I'll be on him. Get him a shirt.
Well, at least you get a koozie.
If you ever have an episode where you want to talk about the Forest Service, I've got some very criticizing insights.
That'd be a good one.
After working for
would be. Yeah, we do plan to talk about the Great American Outdoors Act, so maybe we can have a little bit in there about that. So cool. Well, yeah. Thanks again, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll I don't know what to plug. We got koozies for sale. We got T-shirts for sale. Hit Davis or I up because we're the only competent ones in this group. It sounds like. And we'll get those out to you. Follow us on our social media. We got a giveaway coming up, I think. We got to figure out what all that entails, but yeah, stay on the lookout. We got some fun stuff coming in the coming weeks. So we'll see you next time on the Rendezvous, folks.